The last thing you want is your manager to get in the way of that. And that's exactly what happened here. I would not be talking about this if the manager had waited 30 seconds, walked over to Renee, asked her if she watered the plants. I'm not against her asking if she watered the plants. I'm not against her holding Renee accountable for what she's supposed to do. But the way that she did it really soured a already very positive interactions.
Welcome to the Attraction Pros podcast, where we discuss the latest trends and challenges facing the attractions industry today.
We chat with some of the top leaders in the field and provide resources that will help develop your career in this great industry.
I am Josh Liebman. I am obsessed with the guest experience and helping attractions make that their top priority for success.
And I'm Matt Heller. I am passionate about organizational effectiveness, leadership development, and employee engagement.
Now sit upright, hold on tight, and get ready for the Attraction Pros podcast.
Hey, Josh, how's it going?
Hey, Matt, I'm doing great. How are you?
I am fantastic.
All right, we got a full fantastic for a mini episode.
Exactly. Now, is it a mini episode or is it a minisode? Have we trademarked one of those? Hashtagged one of those?
I don't think we've trademarked either of them, but I think we've just been calling them minisodes. So
Perfect.
we'll go with that.
Okay, I love it. Hey, I got a question for you.
Okay.
When you talk about the hospitality mentality, is that for everyone in the organization, or is that just for people who interact with people that they're serving? In other words, the frontline team members.
It's only for the people who really want to do it. Everyone else is exempt.
That is not the answer I was expecting.
I didn't think so, but I think the answer you're expecting is no, I think it applies to everyone in the organization, whether they are front of house, back of house, frontline team members, leadership, middle management, upper management, accounting, maintenance, all that, and above and beyond.
That's what I expected because, again, the hospitality mentality is a thought process, right? It's how you approach things, and whether you're serving the guests that come into your facility or you're serving the people that serve the guests, it's the same mentality. So I've got a situation that I'd love to run by you and get your thoughts on where they might need some help with hospitality mentality or just their thought process in general.
All right, I'm excited.
Okay, so this situation happened to me at a local grocery store, okay? And it started off really, really well. So I went and got my groceries. I had stuff in the cart. I was pulling up to the, I guess you pull up, right? Not a car, but you pull up the cart to the register, the cash register, POS system now. And I was a little wobbly, and so it hit the side of the thing. Looked like I was, not in control of the cart. The cashier made a funny joke about my driving skills. So the interaction was already started off, I thought, in a pretty strong way because we were having this little interaction. She was joking about, my driving skills. And it was, she was in the moment with me, and I felt good about it. So we go on, to the process of her taking things out of the cart, putting it on the belt, scanning things through. And she notices that I have a container of blueberries. And she says, oh, there's another container. It's bigger. And actually this week it's on sale, so it's cheaper. So you can get more blueberries for less. So I ran back to the produce section. I came back, got more blueberries for less money. Wonderful, right? So far, you're probably thinking, what's wrong with this situation? And the question is, or the answer is nothing yet. This cashier is doing an outstanding job. Her name was Renee. Here's where it fell off the rails. Renee was ringing up the last little thing, told me how much it was, put my card in the machine. She was getting ready to take the receipt out of the machine to hand it to me. And from 2 aisles over, her manager calls to her, hey, Renee, did you water the plants on Monday? And she turns and she says, yes. And then she turns back to me, getting ready to say the final goodbye. Thank you for shopping here. This is how many fuel points you have. She was ready to close out that interaction. Then her manager says, as she's walking toward Renee, she said, are you sure? Because some don't look like they've been watered. And they go on with this banter. Like Renee was trying to give her attention to me, but her manager was totally getting in the way. And my first thought, this is the impact your book has had. My first thought is that manager did not have the hospitality mentality, right? And I thought, hospitality is hard enough, right? Interacting with people and customer service. And the last thing you want is your manager to get in the way of that. And that's exactly what happened here. I would not be talking about this if the manager had waited 30 seconds, walked over to Renee, asked her if she watered the plants. I'm not against her asking if she watered the plants. I'm not against her holding Renee accountable for what she's supposed to do. But the way that she did it really soured a already very positive interaction. So that's why I asked the question, does hospitality mentality apply to everyone or just the front line? Love to hear your thoughts.
Well, my first thought is that it's a hospitality issue and it's also a leadership issue as well, of saying, how are we coaching our team members? How are we keeping our team members accountable so that it doesn't impact the guest experience? So I think this ties in a little bit with the intersection of the guest and employee experience of saying how both of these are now impacted. Renee may have felt, I don't know what the word I'm looking for here, like she was being published, or like she was being punished publicly for perhaps not having watered the plants on time, and for something that is a task that would be normally out of guest view. Aside from this particular instance, how often do you think about the plants being watered at your grocery store?
Never.
They just simply are. In fact, next time I go to the grocery store, I'm going to look for the plants. I feel like that all grocery stores probably have them in some way, shape, or form, aside from like in the produce section when it's like those literally like our plants, like
yes,
vegetables and stuff like that. I see like the misters going on, keeping them cool. But it's like almost this back of house or out of guest site task that is kind of the invisible part of the guest experience. So and similarly, you can apply that, in the attractions industry of like, oh, did you, wipe down the counters last week or something, or last night or whatever it was before closing or whatever it is, the things that would normally be spoken about out of guest view. And you said that it happened from like 2 like checkout registers away. So it's like, why was it so urgent at that moment that the manager couldn't have walked over and said, hey, Renee, hope you're having a great day. Hey, just check it. Did you happen to water the plants?
right.
Like we had talked about, and then, or perhaps done it in between you and the next individual in line, as to not disrupt that guest flow and that kind of closing out of an otherwise positive interaction that you had.
Absolutely. And I walked away thinking that the manager was kind of oblivious to the hospitality that was going on. Like, that was not their first priority. Their first priority was whatever task they were asking Renee about. And they went on to talk about other things, as I was leaving. I didn't bother listening to that. But as she was, again, yelling across the aisles, I was thinking, Renee was really wanting to have this interaction. She was into it, I mean, and I know you've interacted with people who just have that service heart and they want to, interact with people. It felt like Renee felt obligated to answer her manager's questions, which, I think she probably was right in feeling that way. But when she tried to get back to me, like the manager asked another one, and then it pulled her attention away again. So I think I just walked away with that with a deeper appreciation of reading the situation from the management standpoint. Like, if that manager had the hospitality mentality, she probably would have waited, like we've talked about. She wouldn't have yelled across the store about this. And to your point, she wouldn't have, even if it was the impression, publicly, maybe even embarrassed Renee, in front of guests. So that's what I kind of walked away from this with, is just thinking about how that manager really got in the way of the hospitality that Renee was trying to provide. And so the last thing we want to do as managers is get in the way of the hospitality that our team members are trying to provide. So if we are ever complaining about that, or we're saying, oh, our team members, they don't smile, they don't provide this great experience, check yourself, because maybe it's something you did that discouraged them along the way.
And I think, it also shows that every interaction is important. The interaction you were having with Renee was kind of this banter that was leaving you just with this positive kind of, up feeling of leaving the grocery store, right? You got the deal on the blueberries. There was the joke about, the cart and the going off the rails, or the wheels not working too well. And then, it wasn't it wasn't like an instance where you were complaining about something and it was like deep into a conversation of just like, oh, this conversation is very, urgent and important, but it was still an interaction that was important. So that manager perhaps could have observed, what's Renee doing right now? Am I interrupting something? Even if she's just helping a guest just close out the transaction and send them off on their way. And can it wait? Or is it something that no matter what's going on, I need to jump in and ask her this question right now, which, if it's, did you water the plants, is probably something that could wait 10 seconds.
Absolutely. Well, I think you just uncovered or unwrapped, peel back the onion to find the actual lesson here, which is, I believe, every interaction matters, right? Mm-hmm. The interactions that Renee was having with me absolutely matter. The interaction that the manager had with the team member absolutely matter. What I didn't see Renee do, which I appreciate, is she didn't get frustrated. She didn't get flustered. She didn't like roll her eyes when the manager yelled over there, right? So she was able to maintain as much of that hospitality as possible with me while still answering the manager's questions. So I think if I take anything away from this and, have a purpose to this minisode, it's really for people to think about every interaction. And to your point, what's the right time to have that interaction? What do we need to think about in terms of the impact of that interaction that we may not necessarily be aware of? Because that interaction that we had that manager waited 30 seconds, this would be a very, very different conversation. I would just be here talking about Renee and not the manager at all. And to your point about things that kind of belong in the background, a lot of times management is in the background, right? And I almost equate it to someone working, a live concert event. You think about the stagehands and the audio engineer and the lighting engineer. And, I used to work with a lot of those folks, and they say, if people see us, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
And I think in that interaction, because that manager pulled my attention away, that was wrong, or that shouldn't have happened.
You saw past the facade of the experience that we all strive to provide, and that's a well-protected facade. And behind it is that well-oiled machine that there's so much that goes on to make it look like, oh, those plants are always watered and fresh and beautiful.
Exactly.
And the blueberries are on sale.
Exactly. And the blueberries were really good. Like they weren't the week old blueberries. They were really good. So if anybody out there has had similar situations, or you want to talk more about how the hospitality mentality can really impact every interaction, we'd love to hear from you. Please reach out via the socials or attractionpros@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm. And I think they need to fix that shopping cart.
I'm going to call it operator error.
Oh, okay. There you go. Well, like you said, yes, please let us know your thoughts on this. And if you like this episode format, we love doing these mini-sodes where we just give you kind of scratch the surface on a thought or a topic, but want to know what you think about it. And until next time, as we all know, we are all attraction pros.
Thanks for listening to the Attraction Pros podcast.
Make sure to subscribe so you can tune in when new episodes release. And even better, please leave us a review on iTunes.
For more information, visit attractionpros.com.